You're listening to part one of a two-part series. We're going to talk about CIMs or CBRs, confidential information memorandums or confidential business reviews. You know, those are the things that sellers and brokers hand searchers to entice them to want to get serious about a business for sale. Here's what you need to know. If you don't get this right, and if they don't get it right, not much else can go right. I'm Ted Leverette, the original business buyer advocate. For more than 30 years, I've been helping people find and buy the right businesses the right way. I'm known for no-nonsense answers, so I hope you'll stay with me during this presentation. It's going to be somewhat controversial depending on what your position is on the playing field. I advertise this show as the good and the bad and the ugly. I like the ugly so much that I'm going to start with it. Read it and weep. This is just the stuff I saw in the last week or so in various CIMs. This is not one CIM. I mean, there are some this bad where all of this stuff's in it. Those are all things in CIMs. These are what these brokers are handling buyers up front. I mean, look at this one up here. This broker hands somebody a CIM, and he says, this is a bargain. Look, for only $900,000, you get $30 million in accounts receivable. Shake your head. Would you buy that deal? You would buy that deal. I would buy it. We could syndicate it. Well, this broker made a typo. Now, how about if you're the seller of that business and you committed to a one-year contract for this broker to represent you? And this is the kind of stuff this guy puts out. This CIM was so full of typos and it had other nonsense in it. Of course, the buyer who sent it to me said, you know, I would never do any business with that person. And of course, the seller, if the seller sees it, shame, shame. Look at this one, no joke. In other words, what this says is, hey, Mr. Buyer or searcher, everything we show you could be BS. And how about this one? Now, remember, this is up front. This is in the non-disclosure document, the NDA, which is poison for most of you, or it's in the CIM. This broker has the nerve to say to the searcher at the get-go, hey, you see my listing on Biz Buy Sell. You're asking now for my package about the business, but you need to tell me what assumptions you're going to use to arrive at your offering price. Or how about this one? Once you get the CIM, well, before I introduce you to the seller for a conversation, you got to explain your rationale for your offer or the one you might make. This one, give me a break. A broker told me a few weeks ago that he sued a buyer for $150,000 because the buyer, who obviously had no legal counsel and probably had no common sense, signed an NDA the broker handed in that said, hey, I'm going to introduce you to a bunch of sellers. If you buy any of them and the seller doesn't pay me, guess what? I'm not going to wait for the seller to pay me. You have to pay me. This is the other thing to look out for. Don't let these NDAs and these CIMs that you're signing transfer the broker and seller risk to you, your searchers. I see this in over 50% of the CIMs that are foisted upon searchers. The other one, where the broker can induce buyers and searchers up front before the buyer's seen anything to say that I have no liability for anything I tell you or that's in anything I hand you. Give me a break. This was in the cover letter to the CIM with the NDA. And he said, hey, look, I just want you to know I'm going to have 15 buyers. So you got to move it right along. And if you don't, well, you lost the buyer competition. Hey, Scott, you just saw some of the absolute dumbest stuff that I saw just in the last 10 days or so. Give us sort of the small picture of what in the hell these CIMs mean to searchers.
For sure. I mean, obviously, early in the process, this is your way to begin the dance and start screening companies. I think your example, I would be more upset as the seller potentially to have a broker to represent me like that. And I agree, 900 grand for 30 million in receivables, unless they're totally write-offs, is a great bargain. But I think everything you said is that you see this thing from brokers, and it's very much coming out of the real estate context, almost more than the M&A context, is the brokers are trying to lead you down this path of super urgency It's a hot property. There's no time to do diligence, and we want a commitment very, very early. And that's what they're trying to lead you down this path. They're trying to get you to go ahead and start walking down the road toward committing yourself to a purchase price by providing explanations before you do any diligence and things like that. And I think, it's important to realize that some of this is indeed part of the process you can expect from brokers, but some of it is a little over the top. So, what your goal is to show, and Ted's better at this than I am probably, but to show interest, but at the same time, strongly communicate that all the information you're going to need to verify, and you're not going to bind yourself to anything until you've gone through that diligence or verification process.
Okay, thank you. Scott Weevil. Scott Weevil. You'll find him on LinkedIn and at Weevil Law. Folks, Scott's going to be back at part 2 of this 2-part series about CIMs. You don't want to miss the next one. It is the best CIM I've ever seen, and it has some fatal flaws in it. We're going to dissect it page by page. I'm Ted Leverette, the original business buyer advocate with Partner On Call Network, wishing you prosperity and health.
Hey, you. That's right, you. Have you been looking to buy an exciting and profitable business? Are you tired of searching, but only finding barriers that impede you from owning a wonderful business? Well, have we got some good news for you. You can find and buy the right business the right way. And you don't have to go it alone. For over 30 years, author and transaction advisor Ted Leverette, the original business buyer advocate, has been helping buyers worldwide achieve win-win done deals. Ted Leverette says, you can't buy it if you can't find it. You see, buying a business is all about search. Because if you can't find it, you can't buy it. It's about being best and first. First on the scene with sellers and being the seller's first choice and top of mind for brokers and sellers. And most importantly, avoiding buyer competition. What about having to compete with other buyers? Well, you have to outbid them, which is a good way to pay more than a business is worth. Searchers do better with a winning business buyer marketing plan, and that's where Ted Leverette comes in. He'll help you prepare a winning plan, and then he'll guide your actions so you can find and then buy the right business the right way. But searching is not enough. The reality is too many people buy the wrong business, or they buy the right business, but on the wrong terms. That's why, if you want to buy the right business the right way, it makes sense to have Ted Leverette, the original business buyer advocate, on your advisory team. And one of the best ways to know what the savviest searchers and buyers do is to read Ted Leverette's books, How to Prepare Yourself and Find the Right Business to Buy, and How to Buy the Right Business the Right Way. You can get them at his website, partneroncall.com. Don't chance it. Right now, go to partneroncall.com, get the books, and schedule a free and private telephone conversation with Ted Leverette.